massive array of different peoples and cultures living as one. A grasping kaleidoscope of the gifts of nature. An intimidating gallery of arts and treasures. A stimulating arena of festivals and carnivals. These are but samples.
Constitutionally, Nigeria consists of 3 tiers of government: the federal, state, and local governments. In practice, however, there seems to be only 2 functioning tiers: the federal and state governments. The 774 local governments listed in the 1999 Constitution and the local council development areas established by many state governments are comatose. They are virtually dysfunctional. Now, local governments are meant to take care of rural roads for evacuation of agricultural products and clean water sources, such as boreholes in our rural communities. They are also expected to assist with the provision of basic health care and education, including recreation centers. However, there are concerns about how most state governments have usurped the powers, functions, and roles of the local governments and now treat them as their appendages, thereby denying the dividend of democracy to the people at the grassroots. Now, apart from the ongoing debate in the House of Representatives to remove the local government from the 1999 Constitution to grant them independence, leaders of the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees have vowed to pursue local government autonomy. Will these steps give the local governments their deserved freedom? Well, our guests are ready to dig in. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I'm Victor Azu. Now, joining me to shed more light on repositioning local government is a former National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON, and former Edo State Commissioner for Wealth Creation, Cooperatives and Employment, Felix Ahabwe. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much, my brother. God bless you.
And also on the program, this time via Zoom, is Mike Usaha, a public affairs analyst. He's also a lawyer. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Pleasure, Victor. Good evening, Nigeria.
All right, let me begin from here. Felix, you have good experience at the local government level, which is the closest tier of government to the people. How important is that tier of government to national development objectives?
Well, thank you very much. The importance of local government system in the country cannot be overemphasized. Our past leaders, it was God's given wisdom for they to have recommended that we have the tier of government. And the same thing is happening in so many other countries, and it has worked well for them. Hence, our past leaders, in their wisdom, recommended that we have the tier of government. The local government, being the government that is very close to the people, is a very important tier of government, because that is the local government, that is the only tier of government that the people can easily reach, that the common man can reach, and is closest to the people. Okay. We talk of health issues, sanitation, talk of boreholes, talk of cleaning of markets, visiting boreholes, drainages in our streets, primary health centers, which the average woman and the people in the village can access, unlike the tertiary institution, health centers and the hospitals. These are functions of the local government. So, and you know that majority of our people live at the grassroots, live at the local government level. Every Nigerian live at the local government level.
Indeed.
So, and as such, one cannot overemphasize the importance of local government to ensure that the welfare of our people are taken care of. So local government is very, very important. And that tier of government must be encouraged, must be functional for us to be able to push away poverty.
All right, thank you for your opening shot, Felix. But I'll stay with you. Now, what is your assessment of the capacity of local government councils to deliver governance to the people at the grassroots?
When you talk of capacity, are you talking of the individuals occupying the seat at the local government level, or are you talking of the
structure?
The structure.
I'm talking about the structure. Of course, the people, if you have a good structure, it is easier to function for the people in office. But then the person coming to office must also come with something to the office.
Well, unfortunately, the structure in the local government have been defective. You know, it's like the local government system was structured to fail, if I can simply
from the beginning.
Yes, because we have three tiers of government. You know, from the constitution, it's clear that we have three tiers of government. One will be surprised that the way the other two tiers of government were provided for in the constitution, the runnings, their functions, and the runnings of the system was not also provided for with regards to the local government. That the House of Assembly, another tier of government, shall decide the runnings of the local government system. So that's the tier of government. It's like it's just like saying the federal legislators will decide how the state governments are run. So from beginning, there was a defect from the beginning, and the state government and the state House of Assembly are capitalizing on that lacuna to ham twist the local government system, to control the local government system to their own advantage. And because it gives them political advantage to have the local government under their control, that lacuna in the constitution, they capitalize on it and ensure that local government is under their total control. And who played the papers dictate the tune, because they controls the local government. They dictate most things that happen in the local government.
All right. Now let's go over to Mike Usaha, who has joined us via Zoom. Mike, what changed with the local government, which has made it almost irrelevant in Nigeria? Certainly, it's not the law. State governors now execute and celebrate projects meant for local government. Is there a loophole being exploited in the law, or is it outright disregard for the law that sees local government chairmen kicked out at will and caretaker committees appointed instead?
Well, I mean, my connect is a bit erratic here, but if I get you well, Victor, what you're asking is whether there is a way in which we can improve the relationship between state and local government. I hope that's what you're asking.
Not quite, Mike. If you can hear me now, I'm actually asking what changed in the local government. The local government system used to work, but suddenly it is no longer working. So what changed along the way? Is there a loophole being exploited in the law, or is it just outright disregard for the existing laws?
Okay, thank you very much, Victor. I mean, since the return to democratic rule in 1999, we have seen a steady but progressive decline of the relevance of the local government tier in the scheme of things as far as governance is concerned. And things are really getting very bad. A few days ago in Benue, the State House of Assembly sat after a long absence and, acted on a request by the state governor to suspend the chairman of Bandikia local government. The allegations that were made against her are allegations that had some criminal undertone and all of that, but there was no real investigation. It was just a simple request from the governor, and the State Assembly acted on it. And this is what we see every now and then, not just in Benue, but generally in almost all the states. From the point of election right up to the execution and sharing of revenue that accrues to the state and the local government problem. And it has been like that since 1999. So, and it has significantly affected, just like my colleague has pointed out, local governments are at the core of our development process. They are the closest to the people, like he previously said. And if you ask me, this is really the tier of government that should be invested with the huge volume of resources that is shared between the state and the federal government. We need to get the best of our best to man our local governments. And it used to be the case before now. Then you had local governments that ran with their development processes. They had in place their own development programs, and in some cases, they were even in competition with state governments. But we're beginning to see a situation where, precisely because state governments kind of rely on local governments for their elections or re-elections, they want to see that they emasculate this level of government and ensure that they put people there who will do their bidding as state governors. And this is really very unfortunate, especially when you have the legislative branch of government also supporting what the executive branch of government is doing. If this continues the way it is right now, I doubt very much if we can see the much needed development that we have always seen at the local government level of governance.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mike, for your opening shots. Now, Felix, what is your take on the clamor for local government autonomy? Will that solve all the problems?
Well, people that are clamoring for autonomy of local governments have seen all the problems that the local government system of government have been passing through. And autonomy will go a long way to solve the problem. The people also have a role to play even after the autonomy. You have to decide your leaders. And the beauty of democracy is there's always tomorrow. Okay. If you vote for your leaders and they don't do well, you don't vote for them again. But when we talk of autonomy, it's very, very important. Financial autonomy and administrative autonomy. Or I see a very big defect when it was provided that there shall be a joint account between the state and the local government. Federal and states do not have a joint account, different from the federation account. My expectation was that money was supposed to move from federation account to all local government. It used to be that way. And I'm very happy that people are complaining that there is more poverty this day. And the system of local government administration is becoming worse and worse every day. That is what is causing the poverty at the grassroots. When the local governments were functional, there were activity at the grassroots. And you cannot develop the country when you stay in Abuja or when you stay in state capital. There must be uniformity of development across the country. That is the way you can remove poverty. And the only way you can do that is through that third tier of government that cut across every area of the country that you can reach. So when you have autonomy, and now the local government can get their money directly, it will not just be the state government deciding what they must do. So many deductions at the center. Once the money hits the state joint account, you call it joint account. To me, it's not a joint account even first place. It's a state account because the local government announced. I was a chairman in my state. We, the local government, we are not signatory to the account. It's just state that are signatory to the account. So how do you call it joint account in the first place? So to me, the money goes to the state, and the state appropriate and sent to the local government because it's not a joint account. So that joint account should be abolished. In order for, when you're talking of autonomy of local government, so local government can get their money directly. And two, the issue, when I became chairman in my local government, and by extension I became the Agon chairman, the only project we can do at local government level without making reference to state, or just 2 million. Any project in excess of 2 million, we have to go to state government to take approval. State government don't do that with the federal government. So we were really shocked. So we couldn't do anything. We cannot even renovate 3 classroom, classroom blocks. We can never do. We hardly can do any project. So it took a lot of effort between me and some of my colleagues to approach the governor, approach the State House of Assembly, to at least increase the approval limit of the local government, so that at least we'll be able to do some project. But thank God, before I left as Agriculture chairman in my state, we were able to increase it to 10 million. So within the local government, we could do some project. So because of that administrative bottleneck, so look short, not only in my state, across the country, because as AGON president, I realized that was happening in so many states. And it was tying down the development of the local government.
There's a lot more to talk about indeed, but that will be when we return from this time out. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. And the program is Nigeria Today on NTA News 24, and we have been discussing a reposition in the local government. I want to go back to Mike Osaha, who has joined us via Zoom. Mike, Phoenix earlier alluded to autonomy, but I ask, will constitutional amendment alone turn things around at the local government level? What about a reorientation, for instance?
What about, say it again.
What about the orientation which has changed over the years? Should there be a reorientation? Because even when you grant autonomy, it may not be enough to do the miracle that we expect from the local government.
No, you're right about that. And I alluded to that point in my opening statement when I said we need to be conscious and cautious of the quality of personnel that we recruit to man our local governments. We need people who are not self-serving. We need people who are courageous enough to confront higher authorities. We need people who have, the common good at heart, and people who have service and nothing other than service to give out to the people at the local government level. Then, of course, you alluded to the process of constitutional amendment, and I totally agree with you. But again, we need people at the various levels of government that are involved in the constitutional amendment process to be forthright. I think this we have had this in the past, and we had a very interesting situation in which state assemblies themselves, which were also involved in the constitutional process, deny themselves, the autonomy that they so urgently require. So the point really is about the forthrightness that we desire from those who are the political actors involved in this process. Our legislators also are in dire need of help. We had a situation here, even in the height of military rule, where local government chairmen and women in some cases, confronted the authorities that in some cases even disagreed with them. But we have a system now, unfortunately, which is democratic in nature, but which basically abhors, disagreement of any kind. Any local government chairman or woman who seems to be in confrontation with the governor, and in some rare cases, even personages around the governor, is hunted down, really. And this is the situation we have seen in Benue in the last 1 week. But I guess it's the same all over Nigeria, So it's really about the managers of the process. We must have people who are courageous enough and would be willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to sacrifice to give us that good governance that we require at this very important tier of governance.
Thank you very much again, Mike. Now let me get back to Felix. You had talked about autonomy earlier, and what changes need to come with the local government autonomy bill that we are talking about to make local governments vibrant again, from your experience?
Well, we're talking of autonomy like today. In 1998, to be precise, the first election in this political dispensation for the federal, state, and local government were conducted by the national INEC across the 3 tier of government.
Okay.
And the local government functionaries, the chairman, vice chairman, and councillors, were not, I cannot say they were totally independent, but to some extent, they were, they were not tied to the state government at that particular point in time, because they were elected. And you see in some states, you see 2-3 political parties sharing the seats, councillors, chairmen, unlike what we have these days. Since we have state INEC now conducting election. In this state you have PDP, all the council chairmen, all the councillors will be PDP. When you have APC, all the councillors and chairmen will also be an APC. So which means it is not re-election that is taking place any longer. It's just like a selection process. And don't forget, the beauty of democracy is there is always tomorrow. Once you vote for your local leaders, you vote for your chairman, you vote for your councillor, and you send them there, they don't do well, and they know that you have the power to remove them. Because if they go there, they are like selected to go there, they will be loyal to the person who selected them to go there.
And that's all that matters.
So that's what matters. So the restructuring we're talking about, now when it is restructured, and we have a local government system where elections are actually conducted, and we know our people. If you know you have a brother, you have a sister, somebody that is contesting election that don't have the capacity to deliver, you don't vote for the person. So we have true elected leaders going to that tier of government, because today you don't really have true elected leaders going to that place. It is the persons that are favored and selected by the state.
All right. So let me pose the same question to Mike Usaha. Mike, what do you think needs to come into this local government autonomy bill? All that it takes to come into the local government autonomy bill to make it work better for our people?
For me, the first step would be to say that local governments should receive their funding directly from the federal government. I mean, I am a proponent of true federalism, and I have always argued that states and local governments should be able to generate their own revenue and other resources without necessarily depending on the federal government. But for so long as we have the current system of revenue sharing in place, resources meant for local governments, the 774 local governments, should go to them directly. So the first step really is to discontinue with this dubious process of joint account or whatever. You need to really go into this joint account system to see how bureaus of local government or ministries of local government are they totally emasculate the local government system, really. So the first thing is about funding. Number two is to see that, elections, just like my colleague has said, elections are really competitive at the local government level. This situation where if a particular party is in power in a particular state, then all the local governments are, and the starting point really will be to say that the person to be appointed, the State Independent Electoral Commission chairperson, should be through a democratic and rigorous process. We should remove the governor from this very important responsibility. Move it to maybe the chief judge, or throw it open in such a way that the political parties will then be responsible in finding a way around appointing who becomes the chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission. If we cannot do that at the federal level, we should at least be able to do it at the state level, and to say that, look, there will be some level of independence around the appointment of the chairman of independent, the state independent electoral.
I'm sorry, Mike. I have completely run out of time.
Really.
I'm sorry, I've completely run out of time, but your point has been made loud and clear, and I hope I have some 10 seconds to give to Felix. Your closing remarks.
Well, I want to thank Nigerians for the support they have always given to the local government, and I want them to continue to give the personnel in the local government their support, and I want Nigerians to support this agitation for autonomy of local government, because that is the way to go, and that is the only way that can bring development. And you cannot do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. Poverty is going down deep into the life of our people because local government system is not functioning.
All right. Felix Ahabwe, former Argon president and former Edo State Commissioner for Wealth Creation, Cooperatives and Employment. Thank you very much indeed for your insights.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nigerians.
And Michael Saha, public affairs analyst and lawyer. Thank you for joining us in this discussion. Thank you. All right, and Nigeria Today is live at 7:30 in the evening every weekday. And you can also watch this and other editions on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hall. My name is Victor Azul. Thank you very much indeed for watching.